Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. The New York judge says Donald Trump can't attend Supreme Court argument next week. Also, he can't attend his boy's high school graduation because he said that we put under arrest, which I find amazing. Well, let's check out what President Trump has to say, plus some other videos on the subject as well.
We had some amazing things happen today. As you know, my son is graduating from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go to the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student. He's very proud of the fact that he did so well. And I was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there. And it looks like the judge isn't going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt. It continues, and it continues forever. And we're not going to be given a fair trial. It's a very, very sad thing. In addition, as you know, next Thursday, we're before the United States Supreme Court on a very big hearing on immunity. And this is something that we've been waiting for a long time. And the judge, of course, is not going to allow us. He's a very conflicted judge, and he's not going to allow us to go to that. He won't allow me to leave here for a half a day, go to D.C. and go before the United States Supreme Court because he thinks he's superior, I guess, to the Supreme Court. And we got a real problem with this judge. We have a real problem with a lot of things having to do with this trial, including the DA. Because you go right outside and people are being mugged and killed all day long, and he's sitting here all day with about 10 or 12 prosecutors over nothing, over what people say shouldn't be a trial. So I just want to thank you very much, but that I can't go to my son's graduation, or that I can't go to the United States Supreme Court, that I'm not in Georgia or Florida or North Carolina campaigning like I should be. It's perfect for the radical left Democrats. That's exactly what they want. This is about election interference. That's all it's about. Thank you very much.
Well, that was President Trump's take on the ridiculous motion or order from the judge. Now let's get an idea from Kash Patel, who used to work for Trump, who's a very experienced federal prosecutor. Give you a little insight on what really goes on.
Short of an audit of this type of political prosecution is a failure for the American people. The two-tier system of justice is wildly on display here. Look, I've picked over 60 juries in criminal court, in state and federal court. And the judge making an overt statement to Donald Trump, he did so for political purposes. He doesn't have to tell Donald Trump, if you're not here, I'm going to arrest you. That is part of criminal procedure. If Donald Trump wanted to be excused from this proceeding in any way, shape, or form, like for his son's graduation, he simply puts in a motion through his lawyers. But this Trump wants to hypersensitize, hyper-politicize every single aspect of this political persecution because he's in bed with the prosecutors, and not to mention that his daughter made at least $15 million from information that's coming out of his courtroom for the representative from California, Adam Schiff, who just happens to be running for the United States Senate.
Well, there you have it. Now, here's the long and the short of it before I get in the article. See those gentlemen standing behind the President Trump and the people that were part of the officers or the police of the court? Those guys have broken their oath. Donald Trump should be able to go to his son's graduation without fear of being arrested. And that goes for the entire thing here. As he showed up for court for the jury selection, if all those officers, and the vast majority, I have no doubt, know this entire thing is total bullshit. If they said, I took an oath to the Constitution of the United States, like I did when I was a councilman in upstate New York for the 2000s, I took an oath. I'm not going to do it. The argument or the excuse that I'm just following orders was put to rest at Nuremberg, if you remember, and many other places as well. That doesn't count anymore. When you know you're doing something wrong against your oath in the Constitution of the United States, you should step aside. These judges and these progressive morons that are doing all these prosecutions only have power because these police officers and court officers give them that power. If they just walked away and said no, this would all stop. Let's read on. Jury selection has ended for a day in Donald Trump's hush money trial. 11 people so far have gone through the motion. After the prospective jurors left the courtroom, Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, requested his client be excused from the proceedings on April 25th. That's the day the Supreme Court will hear oral arguments in Trump's claim of immunity. But the judge rejected the request. Arguing before the Supreme Court is a big deal, and I can certainly appreciate why your client would want to be there. But a trial in New York Supreme Court is also a big deal, he said. Per a poll report, I will see him here next week. So the New York Supreme Court is a bigger deal than the Supreme Court of the United States to determine if a president has immunity while he's president. And those of you that are saying, good, I'm glad, if the Supreme Court rules that president does not have immunity while he's president, the entire federal system collapses, and I'll tell you why. Don't think for a minute, well, we've got to find some Republicans with a spine and a set of balls, but there's got to be some somewhere, that an individual, I believe it was Middle Eastern, and Barack Obama, when he was president, bombed him with a drone, killed his father and a bunch of people, and also killed a teenage boy who was an American citizen, was killed without due process. That's a crime. Manslaughter at minimum. It's as simple as that. And if he can find a jurisdiction, I don't know where this boy lived or he uses his residence in the U.S., but if he can find a jurisdiction that's just as right as these guys are left, you can put Barack Obama on trial. Is that the can of worms you want to open up? It's incredible to me. Blanchlock guarantees that Trump will be excused if any proceedings end upon that date. Given his campaign schedule, the judge refused to commit. I can't give you a blanket answer. Certainly, for any proceedings that involves a jury, your client needs to be here. I don't know why for jury selection he has to be there. He has threatened to have Trump arrested if he skips being present for the proceedings. As you saw what President Trump said earlier. Trump blasted the case as a scam and slammed the judge. It's amazing to me. There are very complex things he's not going to allow us to go. He won't allow me to leave here for half a day to go to D.C. and go before the Supreme Court because he thinks he's superior, Trump said. He also complained the judge would not excuse him to attend his son's high school graduation next month. It's unbelievable. I want you to think about this for a minute. And I'll leave it at this because I don't want to make this video too long because people don't like long videos. This judge is getting a lot of scrutiny on fair news coverage in media, mainstream media, plus the internet, that he is just unbelievably biased. And because of his daughters making millions of dollars off the Democrats, including Chuck Schumer and other pieces of garbage, Adam Schiff for one, pencil neck shift as Trump calls him, he should have recused himself from the case. In New York State, there's a law that's called the 6 degrees. The first one, a daughter, is the first degree. It's your immediate kid. It's, you know, it's like having a brother. It isn't like your fourth cousin once removed or your wife's ex-husband's third cousin. This is directly connected to you as your daughter, who made millions, and legally I might add. I'm not saying there was anything wrong. She put out media and ads for Democrats about raising revenue, and the revenue that brings in, she brings a certain percent. Okay, fair enough. But you should recuse yourself from the case, but he won't. But I digress. He's getting all kinds of criticism that he's unfair and biased. What better way that cost you nothing? But what, a day and a half maybe? As long as he gives the waiver, Trump says, let my lawyers for that half a day pick the jury. Well, I go to the Supreme Court, which the entire executive branch, by the way, is online. Not even counting his son's high school graduation. Be magnanimous and say, you know what? I'm a father too. And if President Trump wants to go to his son's graduation, I feel that's proper. We'll burn a day and he can come back later. He would have been seen as a hero to a lot of people. Well, you know, maybe this judge isn't so bad. No, this guy has to be a dick. And he has to be an a-hole. For what reason? Again, I go back to the point, he was threatened with arrest. A former president of the United States. And who do I blame besides these morons and these crooked DAs? I blame the city court officers. And I've always had a good standing with local police. In fact, I've been endorsed by them every time I ran. As a Democrat and a Republican, both. So I have no problem with law enforcement. None at all. Yes, there could be some improvements in every law enforcement agency in every city. But that's a different issue for a different time. I always supported the police. But there they are. You see in the background in this picture, there they are standing in the court. And they did when he saw the videos. They were standing around waiting for Trump to come in, and then he spent the day in court, and then he left. If they said, you know what, we're not participating in this anymore, it goes against our oath, and it goes against the Constitution, which I swore to uphold as a law enforcement peace officer, then all of this would stop. All of it. It's just incredible to me. And I don't want to hear I'll lose my pension. I don't want to hear I'm just obeying orders. You know what? Didn't work at Nuremberg after World War II, and it hasn't worked since. Following orders is not an excuse anymore. Show some balls. Show some backbone and just say no. I'm not going to participate in this farce. And the other trials as well. Let President Trump walk away. And then when the judge issues a warrant for his arrest, nobody comes to pick him up because it's wrong and unconstitutional. But they won't because they're scared and they're spineless. How does that go? I'm probably paraphrasing and butcher the quote. But for evil to succeed, good men have to do nothing. And that's exactly what's going on here. What do you think? Should Trump be able to go to his son's graduation or go to the Supreme Court for one of the biggest cases, at least in decades, besides the overturning of Roe v. Wade? Until next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.